Hi, welcome to my channel. Uh, Recently, I was curious about how the executive order seems to be so prevalent, and I grew up. My mom wrote bills, wrote laws for people, and in Canada, and so dinner conversation was always about rewriting laws and this and that, and it just gave me the impression that laws can be revised and stuff. And so then I was asking ChatGPT, um, you know, if there could be a bill written to limit executive order, stuff. So I'm just gonna read it to you, and I'll leave it in the description. I tried to do this video just a few minutes ago, but it was just like the wheel was spinning. So I was wondering if having certain words in the title or in the description would limit my ability to post it. But anyway, I'll just read it to you. I know it's super boring, but I'll try to enunciate well, which I don't always do, so that the closed captioning could work potentially, so I don't have to do it. All right, so here we go. Bill, this is just some questions I asked ChatGPT, and this was the result that came up from it. So, a bill to abolish the power of executive orders and reinforce democratic governance. The preamble, whereas the concentration of power in the hands of a single leader undermines democratic institutions, fosters the potential for authoritarianism, and erodes public trust in governance, it is essential to restore the separation of powers and ensure that the legislative process is always followed by. I'll start that. I'll just do it again. Okay. All right. Bill to abolish the power of executive orders and reinforce democratic governance. Preamble. Whereas the concentration of power in the hands of a single leader undermines democratic institutions, fosters the potential for authoritarianism, and erodes public trust in governance, it is essential to restore the separation of powers and ensure that the legislative process is always followed in the creation of policy. This bill is proposed to abolish the power of executive orders, establish stringent oversight mechanisms, and ensure all executive actions are subject to the approval of the elected representatives of the people. Section 1. Abolition of executive orders. Number 1. Repeal of executive order authority. The power of the executive to issue executive orders, proclamations, or similar unilateral directives shall be permanently repealed. No future executive shall have the authority to bypass the legislative process through the issuance of executive orders or any form of directive that exercises lawmaking or regulatory power. Number 2, revisions to relevant statutes. All existing statutes, laws, or executive precedents that grant the executive branch the authority to issue executive orders are hereby amended or repealed, ensuring that no future administration may assert such authority. Section 2, legislative approval process. Number 1, mandatory legislative review. All proposed policies, laws, or executive initiatives that impact public life, governance, or public welfare must be submitted to the legislative body for review, discussion, and approval. No action, regulation, or directive may be implemented without the express approval of the legislative body. Number 2, fast-track legislative process for emergencies. In cases of national or international emergencies, the legislative body shall enact a fast-track review process that expedites policy approval, but still requires full debate and vote in both houses of the legislature. The fast-track procedure may not bypass the democratic principles of deliberation and approval. Section 3, emergency powers. Number 1, Limitations on emergency powers. Emergency powers granted to the executive shall be limited in scope and duration. The executive may only exercise emergency powers if specifically authorized by the legislature, and such powers must be subject to regular review and extension by the legislature. Number 2, oversight and accountability. The use of emergency powers shall be subject to judicial review and oversight by an independent body designated by the legislature. The executive shall provide a full account of actions taken under emergency powers to the legislative body on a monthly basis. Section 4, accountability and transparency. Number 1, legal consequences for unilateral action. Any attempt by the executive branch to bypass the legislative process or assert power through unilateral actions, including but not limited to the issuance of executive orders, shall be met with legal consequences. These consequences may include impeachment, removal from office, and criminal or civil penalties as determined by the legislature. Number 2, public accountability mechanisms. The executive branch shall maintain full transparency in all decision-making processes, including regular public reporting of any policy changes, regulations, or actions that affect the public. Transparency measures shall include open hearings, public documents, and accessible reporting mechanisms to ensure that citizens are informed of any policy decisions. Section 5, final provisions. Number 1, severability clause. If any part of this bill is found to be unconstitutional or invalid by a court of law, the remaining provisions shall remain in effect. Number 2, enactment. This bill shall come into effect immediately upon passage and shall apply to all future executive administrations. So that was the result of my questions to ChatGPT about limiting executive orders. I hope you enjoyed that, and I will try to leave the text in the description box. If you want to support my channels, please like, subscribe, and share. And I'm interested in your comments on this, and I hope you have a great day. If you want to donate to my channel, the links are in the description, or also in my the details of my YouTube account. All right, take care. Thank you. Bye.